All right, I am testing for this prop I'm using. It's just we're looking at appearances and what we're seeing, but it always changes once you play it and then people look at it. So if you know what that means, you know what I mean. So I got my notebook here and I have my candle lit and I have four decks. I got four decks available. So we're going to open up questions in just a moment. When we can figure out um, when we can figure out different things, you're going to figure out more about me. And I think if you've been listening, you understand what I'm saying. So every now and then I'm going to repeat myself. So when I do, I'm going to tell you that I'll be as honest as perfectly possible. Now, if you know what I think you already know, I'm not a psychic, but listen, if you know what I think you already know, we're going to aim for perfect. But when we aim for perfect, we might not achieve perfect. I just wanted to play music when I was playing my video so I could hear music because I'm not too concerned about A, B, or C right now, but I am concerned about the laws of YouTube and I'm concerned about the laws of Patreon and I'm concerned about the law of God. So where does it go, in the conversation? Do we start with a Bible verse? Are we allowed to use the Bible verse? Do my eyes stay open or do my eyes stay closed? And I don't know the rules, so I have to ask different people throughout time. So I have a few people that I'm allowed to ask right now, but if you're not a psychic medium, you don't know what we're talking about. So if you try to answer for God, what happens? Doors get open and doors get shut, right? Light, dark, and then you figure it out. Who's talking where? Who's talking from where? Can I say a mother's name? Can I say a father's name? Can I say Jesus? Can I say Allah? Can I say Yahweh? Can I say Yeshua? I don't know. So when I meet you, I don't know any of this. So you're going to have to tell me one word at a time and just suspect that he's bald. So maybe he's Charles Xavier, or maybe he's a skinhead, right? Maybe. But my name is Philip, and there's a lot of maybes in this game. So Philip says, no, he's not a skinhead, and no, he's not Charles Xavier, but he does wish he was, right? So you can do with that answer whatever you will. Of course, it's pretty cool, right? Until you know what it is. Once you know what Charles Xavier is, you say no thank you, right? He lost his legs, he lost his wife, he lost everything. So you say no thank you. But it may or may not be too late for that answer if you've already requested it and you've already received it. You know what it's like when you get a baby and you had a baby and then you don't want the baby because he's 6 years old instead of 4 years old, and then he's 4 years old instead of 2 years old. Well, remember how you're telling your wishes, you're talking to God. Remember? God remembers every time you said, I want this, or I want that, or I want this, or I want that. So when you come to a psychic medium, just remember your grandparents. You know what I mean? What's a psychic medium? It's a person that gets information that doesn't belong to them. So, in a way, in a very small way, every person on earth can be a psychic medium. But my church references prophets and other things. But I stepped away from the church probably, geez, oh Pete's, probably 2004. So I'll let you do the math there because it's 2026. So yeah, 22 years. I was just a baby when I stepped away from the church because the church was full of nonsense for gay people. So when gay people started getting sent to hell, one goes to hell here, one goes to hell there. And I'm not talking about the city Tartarus. I'm talking about you can go to class here, but you can't go to class there. Christian school, public school, then you can play soccer, but you can't play football. So I gave up football and I gave up soccer and I did this and I did that. You can have this boyfriend, but you can't have this boyfriend. I lost a friend recently to prison. Do you know what prison is? All right. Are we going to talk about hardship all day? That's a question I'll ask you. We can talk about hardship until the moon comes home. But guess what happens to Earth when the moon comes home? All right. This is home, and the moon comes to planet Earth. Ask me again about gay people, please. Thank you. All right. Now I got a few cards here on the table. On the right here, I have one that came from Eve, Adam and Eve. And Eve says what? She says, Children, talk to children like they're children. I'm not a kindergartner teacher, but I might be a elementary school principal one day, right? I'm 42, maybe one day, and we know how that works. If you want to be a principal, first you have to be the janitor, right? Because um I'm speaking from Christ's perspective, right? He was born by magic, and then he died by magic because he was risen again, right? God. That's the story. We're sticking to it. That's me, that's my house. I don't know what you believe, but that's what I believe. So sometimes I'll have to speak really firmly, but occasionally it gets corrected after we close down the video, and then we can correct the video. So occasionally it will be corrected for me, and I won't remember that it's been corrected. So if I talk to you in the comments, then you'll know exactly who I'm talking to, because I'll give you a ton of hints about the comments, right? Just answer in the comments and then I'll answer. But when you become hateful or you become really happy, like you want to be my boyfriend and want my phone number, I'm going to have hints about you. So just be kind, all right? All right, so we got a message here. Nothing in the center of the message. So I got the world right here, all right? I got the world in the top of the deck. So I'm talking to the world from the internet. Do you know what YouTube is? It's a little scary for some people, but not the people that want to pay their rent, right? The people that want to pay their rent said, it's a little scary out there in YouTube land, but guess what? We'll figure it out with Jesus' help. So we got 2 more cards here. Let's set the deck down for a second because we're going to do something, but I got to figure this out. All right, what are we talking about is a question because we have no center to our conversation right now. All right, you got your 9 of Pentacles in reversed. It's in reverse, not reversed. All right, so certain things are important. So if your language comes out weird, if your glasses come out weird, you're in trouble, right? So yesterday we were talking about poverty, and today we're talking about poverty. So I guess you're probably figuring out what's going on in my life too. I live on Earth still, right? I got bills, you got bills. So that's a conversation for every day. So we got the world in this conversation somewhere. And what? Somebody is sitting in heaven talking to yin and yang, talking to black and white, talking to angel to devil, talking to Jesus, trying to figure out how to pay his electric bill. Because when we go to the store, what happens? They say, it costs $5 for what? And we say, here's $5, and now I can't pay my electric bill. It doesn't add up. I could also be a politician if I wanted to be. But my father was a Pentecostal minister, so I honor him regularly by remembering that ministers know a lot of stuff too. My dad fancied himself when he was being fancy. He would say stuff like, I could be a CEO if he wants to be. Because why? You know what I mean? Like, he did it all and worked with 10,000 people, and each one was a different job, and they were all coming to the one person for advice. Now, if you know what a counselor is, you get where I'm going with this message. You know what a teacher is, you know what a counselor is, you know these jobs, you know what a nurse is, you know what a doctor is, right? A medical doctor or a professor. You know what these things are. Yeah, they're poor sometimes, but most of the time they're pretty happy, right? So that's what we're dealing with, though, because today people can't pay their electric bill. So that's what we're going to stick with. Our 9 of Pentacles in reverse is going in the center of our message. On the top of it, we have Saint Mary, represented as who? The Queen of Coins, Queen of Money. So if she's on earth and Jesus is not, let's remember Mary together, right? Mary was the mother of Jesus. She magically had an angel come to her in her sleep and said, you're going to get a baby tomorrow, right? Now know the story and know it how I perceive the story, please, because everybody knows the story. The angel said, you're going to have a baby tomorrow, right? Tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're pregnant. She's got to remember that she has not been raped. She has not been raped. She has to remember that that's an angel and that your husband hasn't touched you and that you're still pregnant. Now she's going to go back to Greek mythology, right? Holy cow, what happened, what happened, what happened? Because she hasn't even woke up yet. All right, this is Saint Mary. I'm going to let you finish that story later. But today we have 9 of Pentacles in reverse. And right now, Queen Mary is holding all the pentacles. On the left hand of God, we have a 9 of Cups. I'm a little scared right now, right? That's where my emotions go, right down there to my gut. because 9 of cups in the left hand of God, that should be an ace, but it's not, right? I don't know who the president is in your country, but right now you know who the president is in mine. I live in the United States. On the right hand of God is me. All right, I'm looking at it like it's me. It's not me. It's the Knight of Staffs, or the Knight of Wands. And I almost said knife. You know, like if you've seen a certain movie, someone references knife, and I'll let you figure it out, vampires. Figure it out. Someone represents knife. All right. I have a knife. And what? Many people in hell, right? Hell have the same exact knife. So I have to stay very, very close to Jesus until he returns to earth. Now, let's stay there for a second, right? I have the 6 of Swords. This is safe, right? If you decide to get on that boat down there in Tartarus, and some of you are going to know the river Styx more than I will, right? If you get on that boat and you got to go find out where you're going, hopefully Jesus, in your brain, whatever you call Jesus, right? Whatever you call Jesus, hopefully you have somebody to ride on that boat with you, because it's going to be terrifying. But the good news is it's at a 6 right now. If you had to gauge your fear from 1 to 10, 6 is scary, but like you can ride a roller coaster, can't you? I can ride a roller coaster. This is going to be scary, but Jesus is right here, right? It's at a 6, so nobody's dying today, right? So we can gauge our intensity and say, all right, we're worried about our electric bill, but what are we going to do with our electric bill? Because I've told you mine. What's yours? You know, yours could be the life or death of your spouse, right? It could be the life or the death of your spouse. And if mine's the electric bill and yours is the life or death of your spouse, I'm going to ask you a question one day. Why is the river Styx at a 6? Because I'm reading energy, and this is my energy, but I'm supposing that it's not just my energy. Because when somebody passes away, I'm a little bit holy sometimes, right? I'm a little bit like a priest, and I'm a little bit like a high priest when I want to be, and I'm a little bit like a low priest when I really want to be, right? So if you're not sad and crying, we're asking ourselves certain questions very fast, very, very fast in our brain. We're saying, all right, do you love them? Yes. Do you hate them? Maybe. Do you love them still? Yes, right? And now I got to figure out with your intensity what's going on. Because usually we're used to seeing tears, we're used to seeing beards being pulled out of our face like Noah in the garden. All right, and this is what I'm talking about. Many, many people don't cry that often. I don't cry that often. So if you ever see me crying, you better be there to hold my hand or I'm going to kick you in the knees, right? Because you're not my friend. If you're watching me cry and you're commenting on my tears, I've given you the key to, oh, he's a boy and he's gay and what? Yeah, he's gay and what? They cry when their dads die too. That's sad. But if you're just looking at me crying, all right, I gave my examples. What are your examples? So there's an examples, and we have 2 unknowns here, right here. What are 2 unknowns? We have this one here that says Tower, upright, and then we got 2 of Wands in reverse. So for me, what does it mean? I don't get to talk to who I want to talk to anymore. My father passed away, right? Tower. So that's what it means for me, but I don't know what it means for you. So let's ask for a closing message because we got a 6 of Cups on the right here. So we're going to ask for a closing message from the Labyrinth, and we'll see if it closes because I almost reached for another deck. So hang on just a second. It might not close until we figure out how to pray. That happens sometimes, right? Sometimes they like to do traditional poetry like prayers like, Jesus, please forgive us from our sins, because we referenced what? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And then if you would like to do the rest, you're willing to, or you're capable of it. I'm not capable of it because I'm not Catholic. I have a King of Poles in the left, King of Wands, there you go. King of Wands, that's safe, on the left. And then we got 1 here. And I'm going to reference another reader, card down, and pick this one up. And as I picked it up, I can't say her name. I'm being told I'm not allowed to say your name right now. But if you know, you know, card down. All right, Queen of Pots in reverse. Sure, you can all link it in the comments. Queen of Pots in reverse. All right, in the right hand of God. Interesting. Very interesting. So we're practicing our prayers in my own time. We're practicing our prayers because we're talking to children just like I'm a child and you're a child, right? We're practicing what else? When to stop a message, all right? Hang on. All right, I get to be the child right now and listen to somebody else. All right, I got a card right here. All right, we got High Priestess right in the center of the deck. I chose the center, but you're capable of continuing this message if you like to. You could have put that right up there with Mary if you wanted to, right? And then she is now High Priestess. So go from there. But today we're going to stop right here, and I'll add another one later on today, and we'll see what's going on. All right, have a good day. Bye.